In this video, we will discuss one of the most brutal, terrifying, and macabre new variants within the Alien universe. The Offspring, a hybrid creature featured in the movie Alien Romulus, directed by the talented Fede Alvarez. This creature is one of the most horrifying in the saga, and its origin is as grotesque as it is unexpected. Not only does it represent a new level of biological terror in the franchise, but it also serves as a bridge between the different phases of the lore created by Ridley Scott and the elements introduced in Prometheus and Alien Covenant. The Offspring has a unique origin that is directly linked to the black pathogen, also known as the Engineer's Accelerant or Black Goo, and now with a more refined version known as the Compound Z01. This mutagenic liquid has played a crucial role in previous films of the saga, showcasing its ability to create new life forms while simultaneously acting as a tool of destruction. But before delving into the story and origin of this macabre hybrid, it's important to closely examine how this pathogen works and its effects on different species, as this is key to understanding the Offspring. The black pathogen is a volatile substance first introduced in the 2012 film Prometheus, where we saw the engineers use it both as a tool for destruction and creation. This mysterious liquid can disintegrate the biological structure of any organism it touches, while in other cases, it acts as a genetic accelerant, forcing brutal and unpredictable mutations. One of the franchise's great enigmas has been its original purpose. Initially, many fans assumed that the engineers created the pathogen as a biological weapon to exterminate life on planets they deemed unsuitable for their expansion. However, the films and the new canon Marvel comics have suggested that this liquid may have been extracted from the Xenomorphs themselves, who may have existed long before the engineers. As revealed in Alien Engineers, the unfilmed original script later adapted into Prometheus, the engineers reached the pinnacle of their civilization through science, extending their lives for tens of thousands of years. However, this longevity came at a cost. They lost the ability to reproduce naturally. This is where the black pathogen comes into play. The engineers supposedly used it to try to restore their reproductive capabilities, seemingly based on xenomorph DNA, which they had encountered at some point during their expansion across the galaxy. The black liquid, therefore, is not only a weapon, but also a desperate attempt by these advanced beings to perpetuate their species. However, their attempts were not entirely successful. The results were volatile and dangerous, giving rise to abominations, horrible mutations of living organisms. In Prometheus, we witnessed how the black pathogen had different effects on those who came into contact with it. When an engineer drank the liquid in the opening scene, his body began to disintegrate, spreading his DNA into the water and originating life on Earth. However, it's important to note that the liquid the engineer consumed was of a different color, possibly a more refined version for this specific use. But when this substance came into contact with other beings, like the geologist Fifield or Dr. Holloway, the result was the creation of grotesque aberrations known as the anathemas, xenomorph-like creatures that were highly aggressive and dangerous. The clearest example of its destabilizing power was the creature known as the trilobite, a giant face-hugger that resulted from Dr. Shaw's unwanted pregnancy after her partner's contact with the black liquid. This embryo eventually infected an engineer, giving rise to a strange xenomorph variant, the Deacon, a creature also seen in the mural of the engineer's temple, suggesting that the engineers were already familiar with this life form long before the events of the film. In Alien Covenant, we saw how the android David 8 continued experiments with the black pathogen on Planet 4, where he annihilated a population of beings similar to the engineers by spreading the liquid over them from the atmosphere. The effects were immediate and devastating. The victims died instantly, showcasing the pathogen's potential as a large-scale biological weapon. But the most important discovery in Covenant was that David had used the pathogen to experiment with various life forms, trying to perfect the organism contained in the base code of this substance, the Xenomorphs. In this sense, the black pathogen is also the key to the creation of neomorphs, protomorphs, and eventually the xenomorphs we know from the classic films. Now, in Alien Romulus, the legacy of the black pathogen returns, but this time with a new variant crucial to the creation of the Offspring. In this movie, we are introduced to a substance known as Compound Z01, a derivative of the black pathogen refined by Weyland-Yutani scientists under the supervision of the android Rook, who was in charge of the experiments at the Romulus laboratory. Rook, who clearly recalls Ash, the treacherous synthetic from the first Alien movie, plays a key role in the film's events. It's important to note that although Rook resembles Ash, he is a Seegson model, part of the Working Joe line seen in Alien Isolation, whereas Ash is a more sophisticated and human-like hyperdyne systems model. His experiments with xenomorph DNA, specifically from the Big Chap, the original creature from the Nostromo that terrorized Ripley and her crew, allowed him to synthesize this new compound, a modified version of the pathogen that, according to him, could be used to improve the human race. Rook's goal was to give humans an evolutionary advantage, allowing them to survive in hostile environments and overcome their natural fragility. Compound Z01 demonstrated miraculous healing abilities in laboratory animals, regenerating damaged tissues and revitalizing dying beings. However, as expected, the side effects were devastating. The animals that received the compound mutated horribly, becoming abominations that, although not as volatile as those seen in Prometheus, were still grotesque and lethal creatures. This compound was more stable than the original black pathogen, but it was still far from being the miraculous cure Rook had promised. The culmination of these experiments came when one of the film's protagonists, Kay, was gravely injured during a xenomorph attack. Desperate to save herself and her pregnancy, Kay injected herself with compound Z01 under Rook's instruction, unaware that she was about to give rise to one of the most disturbing creatures in the saga. The compound, when combined with the human embryo inside Kay, accelerated the fetus's growth and transformed it into a new life form known as the Offspring, a hybrid of human, xenomorph, and engineer. The process was swift and brutal, with the fetus growing at an alarming rate and mutating inside Kay's womb until it was eventually born. Not as a human baby, but as a grotesque egg connected to its mother in a manner similar to an umbilical cord. The birth of the Offspring was one of the film's most chilling moments, as the creature, after emerging from the egg, displayed characteristics of all three beings that composed its genome. The white, smooth skin of the engineers, the bony structure and dorsal tubes of the xenomorphs, and human facial expressiveness. This mixture of traits gave the Offspring a disturbing appearance, as its eyes, unlike traditional xenomorphs, reflected emotions, making it seem almost human, but in a distorted, monstrous version. The Offspring is an incredibly large creature, standing around 11 feet tall. Its body, though humanoid, more closely resembles that of a xenomorph, with thin, elongated limbs ending in sharp claws. Its skin, a pale grayish-white, evokes both the engineers and neomorphs, while its head and face present a disturbing blend of human and engineer features. One of its most grotesque traits is its fleshy tongue, which opens like a flower and is equipped with sharp teeth, similar to the xenomorph's pharyngeal jaw. In terms of behavior, the Offspring demonstrates advanced intelligence, making it a cunning and dangerous hunter. Unlike xenomorphs, which act more on instinct with their life cycle driven toward survival and species expansion, the Offspring seems more aware of its surroundings and actions. However, this doesn't make it any less violent. On the contrary, its ability to reason makes it an even greater threat, as it can stalk its victims and plan its attacks with precision. One of the most chilling scenes in Romulus is when the Offspring kills its own mother, Kay. The creature, instead of protecting her or showing any form of affection, as the newborn did in Alien Resurrection, sees Kay as a food source. Using its sharp tongue, the Offspring drains Kay of life, an act not only grotesque but deeply disturbing due to the coldness and cruelty with which it is carried out. The Offspring is an extremely powerful creature, capable of killing its victims with a single blow. Its large size and physical strength make it a formidable threat, and its resilience is similar to that of traditional xenomorphs. It can withstand the vacuum of space without issue and survive attacks that would easily kill other creatures of its kind. However, despite its strength and resilience, the Offspring also has some weaknesses. Unlike xenomorphs, which are fast and agile, the Offspring is relatively slow. Its large size makes it less nimble, giving its enemies a chance to escape or counterattack. Additionally, while its skin is tough, it is not invulnerable, and it is suggested that weapons such as pulse rifles could inflict serious damage or even kill it. The Offspring is a fascinating addition to the Alien universe because, like other hybrid creatures we've seen in the saga, it represents the dangers of playing with genetics and trying to manipulate the natural cycle of life. Its existence is not only a reminder of the engineers' mistakes and their experiments with the black pathogen, but also a reflection of humanity's obsession with immortality and biological perfection. Fede Alvarez, the director of Alien Romulus, has suggested that the Offspring marks the start of a new chapter in the franchise. The narrative surrounding Compound Z01 and its life-creating capabilities could pave the way for further experiments and mutations in upcoming films. sparking speculation about the potential appearance of more hybrid creatures in the future. In conclusion, the Offspring is one of the most grotesque and disturbing creatures in the Alien universe. Its origin, tied to the black pathogen and xenomorph DNA, makes it a unique being that combines the worst of three species, and its appearance in Alien Romulus adds a new layer of biological horror to a saga that continues to evolve and surprise its audience. Hey, don't go just yet. If you enjoyed my video, I'd love to recommend another one for you to watch.